So I've scored a 95 percentile overall. My best scores were IIM Ahmedabad and SPJIMR. I had the opportunity to represent India to the Youth Module ASEAN Conference. Later on went into participating in 20 plus case competition, won about 13 of them. My name is Charu Sharma and I'm from Pune. I've completed my schooling from the Global Indian International School and proceeded to complete my graduation from the SCMC, wherein I specialized in public relations. And post that I prepared for CAT during my graduation. So I've scored a 95 percentile overall, with my quant score being 87 percentile, my DILR 86 percentile, and my VRC score being 95.45 percentile. So during my graduation, I realized that there were certain career goals that I was aspiring towards, and even being in a media communication college gave me the depth of media management, the breadth and the broader base of understanding management needed and required me to get into an experience that imbibed as in an MBA experience. So that sort of motivated me to go into towards that direction. I come from a non-conventional background in terms of that I've pursued media and communications, which involved filmmaking and public relations. So for me, it was quite difficult to tap onto the other aspects of the CAT examination as such. During my entire tenure at SCMC, I'd also participated in multiple case competitions, which exposed me to multiple arenas of management and finance and HR. So that sort of involved and inspired me to understand that my inputs also matter in the arena of management as such. So that sort of pushed me towards not just bringing in a diverse perspective into classes, but also motivated me to pursue CAT. So I had the opportunity to represent India to the Youth Module ASEAN Conference. Later on went into participating in 20 plus case competition, won about 13 of them. And then I'm also a Millennium Fellow for the cohort of 2022. So that sort of always sparked as a point of interest and a talking point in most of my interviews, and involved conversations around them. So my best scores were IIM Ahmedabad and SPJIMR. So particularly for these two institutions, I prepared through the ft.PI bootcamp by Inside IIM. And that sort of helped me understand not just the institutions in itself, but the entire preparation strategy, and how do you build onto this life story that you share with your panelists and put across a strategy that dissects into general knowledge, current affairs, your own story, your own talking points, and how to drive the interview in a more positive direction. So for IIM Ahmedabad, they do inculcate a more diverse set of calls that they set out for different categories and different specializations in subjects in terms of how much you've scored in your graduation. So that sort of call, for that my preparation rooted around the systems and thinking in the IIM Ahmedabad, the culture, the sort of education system there, the panelists, the professors, and the learning system, the case-based method, and to focus more onto that. My preparation strategy for SPJIMR was quite different because it's again divided into two rounds. The first round is basically testing you on your marketing acumen, because I'm specializing in marketing. So they do pinpoint on your understanding, your sense of the subject. While the second round at SPJIMR was ethics-based, proposing to you multiple dilemmas. But for me, I think honesty is very important here. To stick with what you believe in is very important, especially in both thise interviews. So my IMA interview mostly entailed around my achievements, my life story, and current affairs, because they did notice that I was a national level quizzer as well. So they sort of picked on that and started questioning me. A rapid fire round sort of lasted for an hour. So it sort of did involve a lot of questioning around also math and finance, if I had the acumen to cover it. While SPJIMR leaded with a more marketing specific approach and your specialization specific approach, and then rooted towards understanding your values and ethos. IIM Ahmedabad's interview started off with questioning my AWT and what I'd written over there. So they wanted me to brief them upon why I wrote what I wrote, and then succeeded off to talk about my achievements, my life stories, and pick out every singular point that I'd mentioned in my CV to understand where it's coming from. So me representing India to the WIMAC, me being a part of the United Nations Academic Fellowship. So they took out everything, questioned it, and put you on a pedestal to make you answer whatever you've said in your forms or whatever you pronunciate ahead towards its depth, and proceeded off to then question if I'll be able to cover mathematics and finance, because it's a rigorous course as well, and gave me some questions to solve therein as well, and then talked about my passions in debating. Then that proceeded off to my SPJIMR interview entailed my round 1, GI1, which was primarily because I come from a PR and advertising background. So they would touch on the intersections between ad and marketing. So the questions were around the IDA model, the processes involved, PESO. So these sort of models were introduced, asked about. Cases were taken into consideration. Cases were something that was common in both the interviews. I was asked real life cases which aligned with public relations, which is my specialization. And the GI2 at SPJIMR usually entails a moral and ethos round, but for me it was moreover one moral dilemma which was presented to our entire panel, and we sort of had to navigate through our decisions and stick with what we decided initially and back it up with what our beliefs are in general. My weakest section was probably quants, and one of the mistakes that I did throughout my journey was to focus on very niche subjects and niche topics which usually imbibe into the preparation strategy. I should have indulged more into the depth of multiple sections in the quant preparation strategy as well, but I sort of improved day by day. Conceptual understanding is very important, especially for people who are non-engineers or who've lost touch with mathematics as such. So that was very important for me. For me, DILR was through daily Sudoku practices and sort of understanding the cases and practicing in sets so that it was easier to divide my time and understand where time and solving stands to serve. VARC was definitely a stronger pursuit for me in terms of other sections, and it sort of inculcated as a daily practice. So I've been a reader throughout my life, so it was easier to pivot a better strategy for it and sort of consistently read newspapers, Aeon essays, and sort of understand business perspectives as well while reading. CAT score is very important. Everybody starts off with the aim of a 99 percentile as well. But I think simultaneously with that CAT prep, do not hinge on the fact that just because you come from a background as such, you would get in with a lower percentile. Your aim should always be higher. Aligned and parallel to that should be your approach in building your profile while you're graduating. As a fresher, I can say that there is definitely this consistent hard work that you have to do along with your coursework, which is to participate in your competitions or whatever niche you want to choose and whatever piques your interest towards management, should constantly engage in that. Focus on your graduation and academics therein as well to make sure that you get a good score, because ultimately people do boil it down to numbers of 999, 998. So I think that is again something that should be the core focus of people, whatever your background may be.